class of 1996.
Yes.
I hear that was a very good year.
Well, it was. It was the
Did
year.
you have a thing, like a little noise that you would make, or a phrase?
Do you know, we didn't. Our class didn't. And I don't know when that started. I think it's terrific. I think it's a fun way for every class to bond. It's unique. Some of them I don't understand, like one class in the last 5 years is In the Hole.
I believe that is Fire in the Hole.
Oh, is it Fire in the Hole? Okay.
Yes, Fire in the Hole. That provides some much needed context.
See, right? So not every. I think some of them have kind of secret messages.
Interesting. Whatever class that is, that sounds like a really remarkable class. I'll have to do some digging.
Right.
Into what class that was.
But no, 96 didn't have a rallying cry.
Well, it's never too late. Might be worth something to figure out maybe at the retreat. This is something we can all figure out.
Yeah.
So no, I thank you so much for joining today. I thought that you were our first and only individual administrator.
Mm-hmm.
Had no idea. You're actually not. You might be our fifth.
I am.
So tell us more about that. How did you get into Lyceum? What was your life like when you joined in 96? And how did you become an administrator?
Sure. Yeah, I am the fifth, or was the fifth administrator. And that started with East Texas Chamber of Commerce, then the Houston Area Research Association, then the wife of one of our alumni did it. Then we had an executive management firm in Austin. And in 1999, the Lyceum needed to make a change. And I raised my hand and said I would do it. And that started my 18 and a half years as administrator for the Lyceum. But in 96, I was just a couple of years back from having lived in London. My husband was transferred there with his work. We came back to Dallas. We had a 1-year-old son. And when I joined, my boys were, in 96, they were 4 and 1. So for all of the women out there with young children, you can do it and be in the Lyceum. So it is possible. In 1999, to put it in perspective, membership, the members received their registration information via fax communication. Okay, so number one. Number two, I didn't even own a laptop, well, not even a laptop, a desktop computer until after I agreed to be the administrator. So things were very different from a technology standpoint. Brian Roberts was starting to get a website for us in the late 90s, but it was very, very different from the organization that it is now.
I don't think I realized that's how it was. So did a prospective director have to stay at Kinko's and just wait for that fax to come in?
Right. Well, I mean, there was actually a fax broadcast company, and we would send them everybody's fax numbers, and when something needed to go out, I let them know, and all the faxes went out. I mean, I'm laughing because I can't believe we did it that way, but we did. And it quickly evolved into digital communication, but in the late 90s, it wasn't what it is today. And it was a much slower pace for sure. Anyway.
You don't have to worry about your social media if it's all fax machine based.
That's right.
Sure. Hey, you people from previous generations of Lyceum, you did it the right way. That's what
Well, the thing that we did is we all stuck together, and I just, if you look at a balance sheet or a quarterly meeting P&L report from 1999 compared to today, you wouldn't think it's possible it's the same organization.
Yeah, well, I'd love to get more into that because you were the administrator from 1999 to 2018. Mm-hmm. Not only in Texas, in the world, right, just a phenomenal amount of change. But I'm sure in the Lyceum, even more. I didn't get a fax, for example, when I was elected, which is good. So I don't think I could have done that. What were some of the changes that you saw in the organization over your time?
Sure. Well, some of the logical ones, technology being one of those, the development of a website and digital communication. Um, in these 18 years that I was administrator, the organization truly evolved and became more robust, what it is today. And that manifested in a lot of ways. There were, in my mind, several transitional periods in my time with the Lyceum. And the first one was just hiring me, hiring a director to manage the affairs of the Lyceum. And one thing I'll point out, it was very important to me that I fulfill my 6 years of directorship. And so the last 3 years, I was a voting member and I paid my dues because I wanted to be able to say that I fulfilled 6 years as a director. Um, but the technology changed, and hiring a director was very transitional. Um, the other thing was kind of in the 2008 to 2013 timeframe. The Lyceum spent a lot of time thinking about how it wanted to manage its finances, how it wanted to handle director dues and meeting registrations. And there were a series of changes that can still be seen today in how that part of the Lyceum is managed. Um, and I think it got us on much better financial footing than we had been in, the first 10 years that I was a member.
We were visiting earlier, and you said that you were very passionate about the engagement of directors and the Lyceum mission. But in your words, if you could share a bit more, like really, what does the Lyceum mission mean to you, and why is it so important for directors to be engaged?
The Lyceum is really unique amongst organizations in the state of Texas. The Lyceum is very intentional about bringing people into the organization who have different political philosophies, different occupations, they're from different parts of the state, and bringing those people together and creating a network that is incredibly strong and does not reflect a silo. Not everybody has the same occupation or has the same political viewpoints, and that is very intentional. You're watching the morning show, and then Netflix sends you something that says, well, this is a 96% match based on your prior watching history, right? And Skipper was like, we're not interested in that. We want the people who aren't 96% just like us. And that's what the secret sauce of the Lyceum. We're all different. We all come from different places, different viewpoints. And the quarterly meetings and the public conferences are really where members get to know each other and network and share. And that just spreads across Lyceum generations and makes us really unique. And it's really important. It's one of the things that every incoming class should hear. The more you engage, the richer the organization will be, and the richer your own personal experience will be. As you know, Zach, every topic is different. Locations are different. The experiences that we have associated with those meetings are different. And from time to time, you might hear a director say, well, I'm not really interested in that topic, or yeah, I don't really want to go to XYZ place in the state. And my message would be, then that's why you should go, so that you get to experience a different part of the state and you actually will learn something that you didn't know anything about. And that is key. And the more you engage, the richer your experience will be, and the better the organization will be able to serve the state.
Now, you obviously put quite a bit in the organization in 19 years, and I would love to know any stories that you can share.
Almost every meeting is going to have something funny or something particularly memorable. In 2004, the Lyceum went to Washington, D.C., and it was an incredible trip. The access and the places that we saw and spent time in the nation's capital were incredible. One evening, we were wrapping up a reception at the Indian Treaty Room in the old executive office building. And I was there, kind of pulling everything together. Jay Rutherford stayed with me, and we finished up, and we were standing on the balcony of the EOB looking out onto the west lawn of the White House, drinking a beer. We just drinking a beer. It started raining. We had to run to the hotel, which was a block away, and Jay was carrying a case of champagne, and we were running across the west lawn of the White House in the rain with champagne and open beer. And both of us just started cracking up. We couldn't believe what we were doing. We were waiting for somebody to tackle us from behind. In 1999, when we were in El Paso, we took a bus to Juarez for dinner. And there was dinner and entertainment. It was a lot of fun, but they had a bull ring at this particular facility. And some of us were treated to the Men of Lyceum bullfighting, complete with red cape. And that was a treat. Guys in shorts and sandals and bullfighting. And one of them was gored. And I won't mention his name, but Brian had a heck of a time telling his wife, Sarah, why his thigh was black and blue.
I was going to ask if there were a lot of openings for the class of 2000 after that.
Yeah, right. Not as many as you would have thought. Okay. We had some pretty skilled bullfighters, actually. Just, sing-alongs in Kerrville on a school bus. One memory that I have that's particularly poignant was in 2001. Brian Roberts had planned a terrific year. We were ending the year in Fort Davis, and many alumni will know and agree that West Texas has a very special place in the heart of Lyceumites, Fort Davis in particular. And we were scheduled to go there almost exactly 4 weeks to the day after 9/11. And, the nation was in shock. People were scared, a lot of confusion and everything. And most of us we would have had to fly at least part of the way to get to Fort Davis because it's pretty remote. And Brian sent an email to the entire membership saying, if there's ever a time for us to get together, now is that time. And he couldn't have been more right about that. And a bunch of us came out there, and it was a wonderful time to bond and to just be with each other at such a difficult time in the country's history. And I will just never forget that. And being with fellow Lyceum brothers and sisters really, really felt good and was a much needed salve for the time. Yeah,
it really sounds like it. I think they're trying to recreate some of that at the retreat. It's coming up, certainly. So. Long delayed, thwarted by COVID, but not for good.
That's right.
Certainly would love your perspective on that, having seen so much of the Lyceum history and having your perspective. What are some things that you think we should tackle at the retreat?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that could be tackled, and I'll point out that in 1988 and in 1991, the Lyceum had formal weekend retreats where The subject matter was, what are we doing? Do we need to make changes? Everything from the number of members to the amount of dues to the precursor to the Stewardship of Texas Values Award. All of these things were discussed. And of course, that was really the first decade of the organization. So now we're looking at doing a retreat. It's been 30 years since we've really had a focused retreat. And so that's a long time. I think one of the most important things that can kick off the retreat is some perspective on what's happened over the last 40 years. And for that reason, I really hope a lot of alumni will participate and get engaged in the retreat, because those are voices that are full of perspective, full of experience, and can level set the whys and the hows of where we are today. I always think it's important to know what's gone before so you can best plan for the future. So I think that's important perspective. And looking ahead to what can be discussed at the retreat, I would refer our attention to the mission statement. And in getting ready for this talk with you, I've spent a lot of time looking at the mission statement, understanding it. How have we successfully met the mission? And I'm happy to say that, at least from my perspective, we've met it really well. And I think there's more that we can do, and questions that we can ask ourselves on, can we do it better? The first bullet point is educate directors on issues affecting Texas. Well, we do that with quarterly meetings and public conferences and experiences. Are there other and better ways we can also do that? And at the end of the day, how can the Lyceum best serve the state of Texas? And I think if you've got educated directors who know each other, know the issues, perhaps experience some of those issues, then that launches us for another successful 40 years and beyond.
Absolutely. You had shared that 25th anniversary video with me, which for those that are watching this on YouTube, we'll make sure there's a link in the comments so you can check it out. It's funny because, well, it does look like it's about 50 years old. Just, it's funny how people dress differently.
We thought we were sharp.
No, yeah, I'm sure it was in 2004. But more than that, just listening to the comments, it's very similar to what I think you would hear directors say today. The same idea, the same rallying around the mission statement. And actually, you said in that video, and I wrote this down, something about Lyceum. It's important that both sides of an issue are addressed, and that does happen in Lyceum. The membership has time to respond. It's meant to be a productive dialogue. But you've seen upset members. You've seen members get on their feet, fingers pointed.
I don't think the retreat dialogue could be as explosive as, say, the dialogue we had around the Patriot Act, so, which was one of those standing on their feet, pointing kind of situations. But without question, there are going to be two sides or more to whatever issues, and that's what the Lyceum does. It facilitates dialogue. We're not a bunch of yes men, and so I would fully expect there to be more than one approach, more than one possible strategic path to get to a point. The point is, what is it we're trying to get to? And then what's the best way to do it? Have we tried it before and it didn't work? Or do we need to chart a whole new path? So,
yes. And for that perspective, to see if we've done it before, that's alumni, former directors. They can tell better than anyone else. And so do you think you'll be able to make it if it works out?
If it works out, absolutely. I want to be there. I think I will say my hat is off to Laura Dixon and her leadership. last year in keeping the Lyceum together virtually, through the COVID video dialogue she had, through the meetings. I think she was handed something completely unexpected, and she did a terrific job keeping it all together and trying to keep us together as an organization. Having said that, we all know nothing takes the place of being together in person, and being face to face and being able to just be together. And so I hope that by July we can do that and do it safely. Everybody get your vaccines.
Working on it, but just
Yeah.
important to know, pants will be required at the retreat, even though here at home, just gonna say, cannot confirm nor deny.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but that's great, and thank you for joining, Kathryne. Your perspective really is invaluable. I'd love to find out if you have any final words to say to guests or guests, to alumni, to directors. How about to prospective directors?
What I would encourage directors to do is just engage, be part of the organization. You know, one of the things Lyceum has prided itself on is being a volunteer-run organization. The president is not paid. The volunteers who put the meetings on are members. And that is important and cannot be overstated, the value in having members participate actively in the product that the Lyceum produces. It's just invaluable, and I hope everyone understands that. It's being the administrator. At the time there was only one of me, and there was 96 directors, and they all pitched in, and that made for a much richer experience.
Definitely. That sounds like quite a lot of faxes to go out, certainly. Yeah. Kathryne, thanks again for joining today, sharing your perspective. Really excited to have you at the retreat, and I think we'll get into a lot more intense, passionate conversations just about where we've been and where we're going.
All right. Thank you, Zach.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
I didn't know if you had a dedicated channel with its own URL. Oh, we do?
Yeah, we do. I mean, yes, it's youtube.com/channel/UCW9M and BVFD HAK HQQT. It kind of rolls off the tongue.
Okay.
Yeah.